Every so often, something happens that feels like a real leap forward. I'm not talking about a small incremental step. I mean something fundamentally different. And I think we just saw one of those moments.
Okay, so just take a look at this. What you're seeing is a complete, fully functional 3D game. I mean, you can fly around this whole city, you've got different weapon sets, environments that actually blow up when you shoot them. There's a high score system, sound, lighting, literally the whole shebang.
But here's the kicker. This wasn't built by some hotshot human developer, or even a whole team of them spending weeks, coding and debugging and pulling their hair out.
Nope, this entire thing was generated in one shot by a new AI model. And the total time it took to create this entire project from just a single prompt, get this, under 1 hour.
So what you just saw, that's the work of the newly released GPT 5.2. And this is a huge deal because it signals a fundamental shift in how we interact with these things. We're moving way beyond the simple, conversational back and forth of prompts and answers. This is something else entirely.
It all boils down to a totally new kind of workflow. Think about it this way. You submit a detailed project brief, just like you would to a freelance developer or designer. Then the AI just goes to work on its own, completely autonomously in the background. And the best part? When it's done, you don't just get back a wall of text. No, you get a link to download a complete, ready-to-run project folder. And for that 3D game we were just looking at, the AI spent a full 55 minutes and 13 seconds just thinking. This isn't about getting an instant chatbot response. This is about the AI taking on a whole project and actually doing deep, concentrated work.
Okay, so a 3D game is a super cool demo, right? But let's get serious for a second. How does this kind of capability translate into actual, real-world, economically valuable work? I mean, how do you even begin to measure if an AI is genuinely good enough to perform a complex professional job?
Well, that's where this new benchmark, called GDP Val, comes into play. And honestly, a lot of researchers think this is the single most important result from this entire AI launch. Why? Because it's not about acing some standardized test. It's about measuring an AI's ability to complete entire, complex projects, the kind of projects that have real, tangible economic value.
And get this, these projects aren't graded by just anyone. We're talking about judges who are serious industry professionals. On average, they have 14 years of real-world experience under their belts. These are managers at major companies, people who live and breathe this stuff, and know exactly what high-quality work looks like.
And we're not talking about simple homework problems here. These are seriously complex tasks. Things like designing a 3D model for a factory assembly line, or creating a deep-dive competitor analysis for investors, or even designing a slick professional sales brochure for a new real estate development. I mean, these are jobs that people get paid good money to do right now.
All right, so let's recap. We've got this incredibly tough benchmark that simulates real-world professional jobs. It's judged by seasoned, experienced experts. So the million-dollar question is, how did this new AI actually do?
Okay, so to put this in perspective, just a few months ago, the absolute best AI model out there could either win or tie with a human expert on these tasks about 48% of the time. So it was getting really close, But on the whole, human experts still had a slight edge.
And GPT 5.2? It scores 74%. Let that sink in for a second. In just a few short months, we have jumped from just under 50% to almost 75%. That's not just like inching over the line of human parity. That is a massive leap, clean past it.
But the story gets even more dramatic when you stop looking at ties and just look at outright wins. The previous best AI, it won against a human expert 38% of the time. Now look at GPT 5.2. It wins 60% of the time. For the very first time, we have an AI that is flat out outperforming experienced human professionals on their own turf the majority of the time.
Now, I know these numbers can feel a little abstract, right? 60%, 74%. So what does this actually mean in a practical sense? How does this actually change things on the ground?
Well, let's try a simple analogy to make this really concrete. Imagine for a second you're a manager, and you have two remote employees. Let's call them Employee A and Employee B. You give them both the exact same projects, and time again, you find that Employee A just delivers better work. The graphics are better, the analysis is sharper, just better results all around.
Naturally, you'd start giving more and more work to Employee A, right? It just makes sense. But now, what if you find out that Employee A isn't a person at all? What if you find out employee A is actually this new AI, and it can do that superior work for a tiny fraction of the cost? Suddenly, the economic incentive becomes, well, it becomes almost impossible to ignore.
Now, a technological leap this big, this fast, it's creating a massive divide in how people are seeing all this. It's basically splitting everyone who's watching into two very, very distinct camps.
So on one side, you've got the skeptics, and their argument goes something like this. These models don't really know anything. They don't understand context. They're just incredibly sophisticated prediction engines. Basically, a fancy autocomplete that's gotten really good at guessing the next word, and yeah, it often just makes stuff up. But then, on the complete other side of the fence, you have the direct feedback from one of those expert judges in the GDP-Val benchmark. Remember, someone who reviewed the AI's work completely blind, not knowing who did it. And what was their conclusion? It was, and I'm quoting here, an exciting and noticeable leap in output quality that looked like it had been done by a professional company with staff.
So there you have it. Two totally, completely opposing views. One camp sees a fancy autocomplete, a mindless sentence generator. The other sees work that is literally equivalent with what a professional company with a full staff would produce. And that leaves us with one big, final question. Which one of those sides is about to have a very, very rude awakening?